How many cars have you had, and what was your favourite?
I should have learned from the first Fiat that I shouldn't buy another Fiat.
I didn't blow it up. I set fire to it. Call the fire brigade.
Monster Ultra Fiesta Mango.
Wow, that's got a lot of words in it.
Got warm beans when I get home.
Yeah, and there were flames. Flames, I tell you. So I did end it with egg on my face, and that was just breakfast.
You never forget your first, ever.
You name it, I've had it. That car had a strange ending to it.
Look at me. That was the day I figured out I was diabetic.
What a dick.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with V.
Vagina. The Porsche vagina. If you drive this car, you will look like a cunt.
Would you like to see a picture?
I would not. What did I just talk about for half an hour?
Welcome to the Tuesday Show with CJ and Ted.
Let's my next drink now.
Okay. What are you drinking?
I'm on a Monster Ultra Fiesta Mango.
Wow. That's got a lot of words in it.
Yeah. Well, it's Ultra means it's zero sugar.
Yep.
Fiesta means it's a tribute to a car, maybe.
Could
and
be.
Then Mango means...
Or a magazine.
Mango.
Do you remember...
Finding a Fiesta magazine in the bushes on the way home from school. Oh, I never did that. I was a good boy when I was at school. Speaking of cars,
my first car was a Fiesta.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
genuinely.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Actually, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it was a terracotta orange Ford Fiesta Mark 1. Absolute dream to do any work on.
Well, I was going to say, back in them days, there was really nothing to the engines. It was just the engine part. There was no computers and crap on it.
It's easy. You could basically step inside and, stand in the engine bay next to the engine and work on it.
Yeah. That my first
there.
car. My first car was a Fiat Cinquecento, and mine was exactly like that as well. You'd pop the bonnet, and you just had all this room inside the engine bay. If you really wanted to, you could put some tinned food in there if you didn't have any room in the boot after you've been shopping. I don't know.
You could do that.
There was loads of room in the engine bay.
It might end up cooked though.
Well, that's okay. Just you have to be strategic about it. That just put the one can of baked beans that I'd buy, put that in the engine bay. Then I've got warm beans when I get home.
Yeah,
perfect.
I don't think I'd do that. I managed to set fire to my Fiesta anyway, whilst working on. Well, only because I was working on the engine.
Right.
Or not? No, actually, not the engine. It was the battery. The battery was an issue, and it was the lead that goes from the battery straight to the starter motor.
Right. Okay.
So there was an issue with that. So I was just trying to diagnose which wire it was that the problem was with, and to do that, I used jump leads. Okay, so I used a jump lead to go from one to the other fair enough, that's the issue. Because if I use a jump lead instead of the lead that's already on there, it seems to work. Fine. Then I had to go off to the auto factors. Okay. That's a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it? That means Halfords, everyone. But yeah, when there used to be independent auto factors, I thought I need to go there to get the real wire to put there instead of the jump leads.
Instead of the fake wire, yep.
Yeah, so I left the jump leads in there, or the jump lead, got in the car. I got to the end of the drive. Now bear in mind, I didn't live in a country mansion or anything, so the drive was, literally 2 or 3 cars.
That's like a few feet, yeah.
Yeah. And and there were flames, I tell you.
Wow.
Coming out of the bonnet. So obviously I jumped out and ran inside and said, "Call the fire brigade. The car's on fire." And luckily,
call the fire brigade.
Call the fire brigade. And then luckily we lived a few hundred yards away from a fire station. So it didn't take them long to come around. And
did they just pull the fire engine out the front of their building and then just point the hose at you and just do it from there?
Yeah, in fact, in terms of the siren, they didn't even go Nina. It just went knee.
Excellent.
But yeah, so they turned up and kind of made it safe and had a look and then showed exactly what had happened, which was basically my wire, my jump lead had got so hot that it effectively stripped off all of the plastic coating. And then, like a cheese wire, had gone and cut through the side of the battery.
Oof.
And therefore, there was battery acid then pouring out of the out of its casing everywhere.
How much did the new battery cost you?
I don't remember. But the whole thing, it was a lot. It was dearer. The whole thing was dearer than it should have been. Instead of just needing one wire, I needed probably a couple of wires and a new battery.
Yeah, so you needed them all, plus a battery. You may as well have just had it towed to the garage at that point.
Yeah.
Which you probably did, I imagine, after that. You probably had to get it towed.
Yeah. So I did end it with egg on my face, and that was just breakfast.
I'll say that egg on your face was before all of this happened.
Yeah.
Because you ate breakfast.
That's why I couldn't think straight.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. I mean, I haven't blown up a car. I'm happy to report.
Can I just be clear? I didn't blow it up. I set fire to it.
Okay, potato. Okay, I haven't set fire to a car. I think the worst I've done was so I was driving home from Scarborough. So Scarborough to Northampton, it was like a 3-4 hour drive at that point in my little Fiat Cinquecento. Actually, no, that wasn't even the Cinquecento. No, the Cinquecento I took up to Scarborough. And then I was driving from Scarborough to Leeds, and then something happened in the gearbox, where basically I'd be driving along in fifth gear, and it would just pop out of fifth gear for no reason as I'm driving. So in the end, I'm literally holding the gear stick back with both hands whilst I'm going down the road, trying to steer and all this stuff, just so it stayed in fifth gear. That was fun. It was at that point I decided to get rid of that car, and that's when I bought my Fiat Punto, which is my second car.
Yeah.
I should have learned from the first Fiat that I shouldn't buy another Fiat.
Never would I. I bought a Fiat, and I regretted it.
Fix it again tomorrow, that's what they say, isn't it? But no, the worst I did to my Punto was, again, on the trip home from Scarborough, just before we left, checked all the oil and water and all that stuff you're supposed to do, and forgot to put I topped up the water and forgot to put the cap back on. Got to put the radiator cap back on. So we got half an hour down the road, and temperature lights going off, and there's steam coming out of the engine bay, and it was that was an expensive mistake. Blew the head gasket. Warped the cylinder heads. So they had to be re-skimmed. It cost me about £400 in the end to get all that fixed.
Yeah.
But that was a tow service from Yorkshire back down to Northamptonshire. Yeah, fun times. That's the worst I've done. Like I say, I haven't set fire to a car, but that's the worst I've done to a car. Yeah. Through, not doing things correctly or whatever.
Yeah, well, we all make mistakes, don't we, I suppose?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. 100%. My Fiat, it just broke down. It was it wasn't even that old. It was only a few years old. But it was the engine management chip.
Yeah.
And it just cost an absolute fortune, and then that didn't last again, and it was just more trouble than it was worth.
When I bought my Punto, it had loads of problems. Like you say, the engine management light would keep coming on.
Yeah.
And I actually took it back to the garage I bought it from. Statutory 3 months warranty. So I kept taking it back there, just going, engine management light's back on again. And every time you'd be like, yeah, it looks like the coil packs need replacing. But then after the third time, I'm like, are you sure it's the coil packs that need replacing? Because it's the third time this has happened. And they kept it back for a little bit longer this time. And again, like, it was the engine management computer just stopped working. So they had to get another one. Then he tried to charge me for it. I was like, up yours, I'm not paying for that. That's what warranty's for, mate. Sorry. I ain't paying for that. Stuff you.
I've had a lot of cars. What's been your favourite car? How many cars have you had, and what was your favourite?
Like, shall we? I require clarity on this one. Cars that I've owned or cars that I've driven for extended periods of time? Because I've had a few company cars as well.
Either.
Okay, so out of the cars that I've owned, how many have I owned? Cinquecento, Punto, Astra, Mondeo, and now my smart car, so 5. The most comfortable one, the Mondeo Estate, by far. The most fun to drive, though, is definitely my smart car.
Yeah.
I love my smart car. I've had a few company cars in my time as well. I've had a newer version of the Astra, Audi A4, Skoda Octavia, Vauxhall Mocha. They're the only ones I can think of right now. But I've had like a myriad of like temporary cars. Like while my or my company car would be in the garage, I'd get like a temporary car. I had a whole host of those. But I think my favourite one out of the company cars, and it's probably really obvious, and the audience will guess this as well. It's Audi A4. Again, it was the most comfortable for long distance driving, and quite just a nice comfortable drive. The Astra was okay. The problem I had with the Astra as a company car was it was second hand, or it was like somebody else had used it before I got to it. So
right.
and it felt like a company car. Somebody just ragged the crap out of it, and the transmission wasn't smooth. It just wasn't quite right. So I'd say the Audi A4 was my favourite company car out of all of them. Yeah. What about you? How many cars have you had across your short but colourful life?
My short but colourful life. Do you know what? I don't know. I've sort of lost count.
Right.
If I'd known I was going to ask you that question, and I was in the business of doing any kind of planning, I would have tried to work it out. But quite a few. You name it, I've had it. So
fair enough.
And again, in terms of favourites, it's difficult. I tell you what was a good car. Well, the Fiesta, because it was easy to work on, and of course it was my first. So,
yep.
You always look fondly at those.
You never forget your first, ever.
Never. I had a Mondeo as well, actually. In fact, I think I've had 2 Mondeos. But I had a Mondeo, which was, I think, one of the first cars that I had with cruise control.
Yep.
But
cruise control's a lifesaver.
It's also a life taker, because I was driving along on the motorway, and I had the cruise control on, and then I went to brake or whatever it was, and it wasn't braking. And it was stuck on.
Oh.
Yes. Which is very disconcerting.
My Mondeo was the first car that I owned that had cruise control. And actually, I had the opposite problem. Mine wouldn't. I had to, literally like twice a week, I had to spray the inside of the buttons with contact cleaner just to get it to work. Because so you'd press the button and nothing would happen. I'd be like, oh God. And it took me ages to figure it out and lots of online research. But apparently I was saying it was common on that model of Mondeo that the contacts would become corroded.
Yeah.
So you'd have to either take the steering wheel apart to clean the contacts down properly, which is incredibly dangerous because there's explosives in there.
That's true, yeah.
For the airbag, for those that are wondering why I'm talking about explosives in the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Or you just have to get a can of contact cleaner and literally you have to jam the straw right underneath the button and spray it for a few seconds. But even everyone online was saying you've got to do it every few days or else it starts sticking again or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
I think mine must have been a bit too contacty.
Yes.
Because it just wouldn't come off. And I came off at the services and I was revving. And obviously managed, came out of gear. And then obviously stopped the car, started it up again, boom, revving again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Crazy.
Like,
I can't remember what. I think I tell you what, that that car had a strange ending to it.
Right.
Because I left it. Did I leave it? I can't remember, but it did break down. I think that was it. I think that it was something to do with the power. What did I just talk about for half an hour?
Cruise control.
Cruise control. That was it. I think it was connected to the cruise control. Anyway, basically it was broken, and I was renting a place, and I think I think the landlord, because I'd moved out, but I hadn't taken the car because the car was still knackered, and I think he just got annoyed with it and moved it,
Right.
but just basically moved it into the centre of Milton Keynes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah. And then I think it got broken into, and then the police took it away and said, "We found your car." Oh, okay.
I didn't report it missing. Should I have done that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, don't worry, don't worry, it's fine.
That's crazy.
I'm over it. I've grieved for it now."
I mean, endings of all of my cars. I will include company cars on this one as well. So my Cinquecento, I managed to trade that in for £200. When other garages were offering me like 50, I traded it in for 200 with one garage to get the Punto.
Yeah.
And like I say, this was at the point the transmission was broken and I couldn't keep it in fifth gear going down the motorway. So that was just a trade in. The Punto got traded in for my first Astra estate. Again, what was wrong with that one? I think it was just kind of on its last legs. It just wasn't a comfortable drive anymore. You could feel the engine was struggling, and I checked all the all the fluids and all that, and everything was fine. It was struggling to kind of survive at that point. So yeah, I just got rid of it. My first Astra estate, I sold that one to a friend because he wanted it. He never paid me for that, actually, and I haven't spoken to him for like 10 years. So I don't think I'm seeing that money now.
Yeah.
My company Astra, the company car, got written off as I was in I won't say horrific, but I was in an accident on the M40 going down.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that one? So yeah, that was the day I figured out I was diabetic and that I shouldn't drink sugary drinks because it makes me fall asleep. Yeah. So anyway, we'll move past that. So yeah, that was a write off, that one. And after that, I got the Vauxhall Mocha for a little while. That was given back for the Skoda Octavia, which I had for a little while, and then I went and left that job, so I had to give that company car back, and I went and bought the Mondeo, which got absolutely trashed by another person that was driving it. So I just sold it in the end. I just didn't want it, so I gave it to I actually sold it to the car shop. Got a few £100 for it. That's pretty much it. Where are we now? Oh yeah, then I had the Audi A4 company car. Again, just gave that one back because I'd left that job, and now I've got my smart car. And I haven't got rid of it yet. I'm still debating whether to get rid of it or not. Can't remember if we've had this conversation or not.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, I'm considering getting rid of my smart car because since I started my current job, where I get to work from home, it's just sat on the driveway doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's still but it's still costing me money because I'm still under finance. Well, I'm like, I could sell it to a company like We Buy Any Car or something, and they'll just clear the finance for me and then give me any change. So it's just something I'm considering at the moment. But I also like the idea of having a car available if I want to just go anywhere.
Yeah, it's nice to have, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's £200 or £250 if you take the insurance into account as well. That's per month. That's just sat on the driveway doing nothing.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money to just kind of burn, just in case I want to go somewhere. I'll be better off getting rid of that. And on the odd occasion I do want to go somewhere, hiring a car from the hire shop that's like a 5-minute walk from my front door.
True.
So,
although if you don't use it very much or don't use it for a while, then you've got a nice little selling point when you do come to sell it that it's low mileage per year.
It's on like 70,000 miles at the minute, and it's 7 years old.
Yeah.
So it's done average. So that car, when I got that car, it was a toss-up between that one and another smart car that I saw that was white. So mine was orange and black, and there was a white and black one that I was looking at. I really wanted the white and black one.
Mm-hmm.
Same model, same year, exactly the same features, same price, which was crucial. The big difference was the white one had 50,000 miles on the clock, whereas the one I've got, it only had 10,000 on the clock when I got it.
10,000.
Yeah, so it was a no-brainer just to get that one.
Wow, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, colour aside, I'd live with the fact that it was orange. And actually, I quite like the fact that it's orange now. It's quite...
Yeah.
You don't see many of them around. So yeah, there you go. That's the story of my smart car. But since then, I've had it for, 3.5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3.5 years now, and I've done 60,000 miles in it in 3.5 years. So there you go. That's the story of my smart car.
Yeah.
Anyone still awake? Anyone still awake in the audience?
Yeah, I am.
Great.
Listeners and viewers may not be. My most of my cars have gone. A lot of them have gone to scrap, or something terrible has happened to them, or they've broken down or whatever. Certainly
beyond economical repair.
Yeah, well, the Fiesta did, but then that was my first car. I was ragging it anyway, so a few times it had to go to the mechanics to have the push rods changed. I managed to bend the push rods,
Fantastic,
because of being a teenager, and reimagining my Fiesta as some sort of rally car.
Yep.
So that was fun.
So go on.
No, you go on.
I was say you say about ragging your car. My Cinquecento. So at the point I started driving, there was a movie that had not long been out, starring Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, called Starsky and Hutch, based on the popular TV show.
Yep.
And there was this bit in it where they were talking about, to get kind of the best performance out of this car, you have to shift straight from second to fourth. And I was like, that's an interesting concept. I wonder why anyone would do that. But of course, me, being the fresh, young, whippersnapper that I was at that point, I started doing that with my Cinquecento as well. Literally, I'm just ragging it down the road, as many RPMs as possible in second gear, and then slamming it into fourth afterwards. It was that's probably why the transmission broke in the end, because I was doing shit like that. That was fun though. Again, at that point, I'm just like, yeah, look at me. Yeah,
What a dick.
Yeah, what a dick. I mean, but exactly. I see kids doing that kind of stuff now, or just driving like absolute lunatics. I'm just like, you're a dick. And I completely forget the fact that I was that person once as well.
Yeah.
I did that too. Even in my Fiat Punto, I did that. It was only really once I got to probably my Vauxhall Astra, my first Astra, the one that I owned, because the journeys I was doing every day, I was driving from Northampton to Leicester every day, and I wasn't earning a lot of money, so I couldn't really afford the fuel at that point, or couldn't justify tearing this car up the motorway, burning fuel like it was going out of fashion, because I just couldn't afford to keep topping it up every day. And it kind of at that point I became a bit more fuel economic conscious, and started driving a bit more sensibly.
Yeah, I sort of went the other way, and just in terms of cars, the idea of having a large engine just wasn't an issue. But I had all sorts of things. I had a BMW, which was that was kind of cool at the time. What happened to that? That was an automatic, and the automatic gearbox broke, to the point where it would only select reverse. So I obviously that was kind of limiting. But I did actually manage to drive around the block in reverse, because I needed to move it somewhere, but I couldn't just move it there. I had to go round in a big circle to get it there.
I was watching a show on Netflix called Rust Valley Restorers, and it's this guy in Canada, so I think Alberta, basically lives in this area where it's quite dry, so cars don't really kind of deteriorate that quickly. And there's like here and there's loads of other shops in this, like repair shops in the same area. And occasionally they do things like they'll go to like demolition derbies and things like that. And there was one bit where one of the competitors basically broke the trans and could only go in reverse. So we ended up going around this demo derby in reverse for the whole thing. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing about cars. Well, I've been watching loads of like stuff on Netflix. So Rust Valley Restorers, Rust to Rich or Car Masters, Rust to Riches.
Yeah.
Because we touched on it briefly after we finished last time, and it was like what kind of a what's your dream car type scenario is what we were kind of thinking of, wasn't it? So, so I'll pose the question to you: what's your dream car?
Well, I suppose it would have to be an Aston Martin.
What kind? There's a few of those.
There are. My first response would be any. I don't know. Where are we up to? Is it DB11?
Possibly.
Yeah, DB11.
Have they given up giving them actual names and gone back to the DB numbers?
Yeah.
Because they went through a phase of you have like the Vantage and the Vanquish and
yes, I think there is. I think there is a. I don't know which one it is. Something beginning with a V.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with V.
Yes. Vagina. No. The. That's what they should come out with.
What's that? A vagina.
Aston Martin Vagina.
Aston Martin VJJ2.
Yes. Oh no. That it would be a Porsche, wouldn't it? A Porsche Vagina. If you drive this car, you will look like a cunt.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. What's the car that I was looking at? Like, you mentioned Aston Martin, and you reminded me of a car that they did. Very limited edition. V8. Let's go to... Let me get the image, and I'm going to share it with you. And I think you'll like this. Well, I like it for sure. So let me share this with you.
What's that? A smart car?
That is an Aston Martin Signet, which is based on the same chassis as the Toyota IQ, which is based on the same chassis as the Smart Fortwo. That is basically a V8 smart car.
Mm-hmm.
I want one so really badly. I want one. Like if my smart car is anything to go by, this is the kind of thing that I want.
You can close that now.
Can I? There you go. Stop sharing that. There we go.
They did have a car that was I can't remember what it was based on, but it was something really really small like that. And the only reason they made it was because they needed to have a car that was more more energy efficient or whatever. They had to produce and have one on sale.
Right.
And again, it was not nice looking because it was a tiny little Aston Martin. It looked ridiculous, but
yeah,
it was sort of plush inside and all that sort of thing, but not really anybody's cup of tea. But I'm sure somebody will buy one for their maid or something.
Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, when I type in small Aston Martin, the Signet is the only one that comes up.
Right.
But yeah, it's a little city car. It's got a V8 engine in it.
Mm.
And I think, like you say, they did it just to say that they could.
Mm.
Yeah, look at us. We can make a city car. Don't just ignore the V8 engine in the back. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's okay. Pay no attention to the V8 engine behind the curtain.
I find it a little bit depressing that we only have about 7.5 years or what have you of cars as we know it.
Well,
as we know them being
petrol and diesel
built.
cars will be around for a very long time. It's just you won't see any brand new ones after 2030.
Yeah,
that's the 7.5 years, which is a shame, especially for like petrol heads. There's a lot of people who enjoy petrol cars. I do wonder what it's going to mean for like the classic car market. Because we're not going to stop producing, petrol and diesel, or gasoline if you prefer, if you're somewhere else. We're not going to stop producing that.
Yeah.
It's just going to be no new cars will be sold with a petrol diesel engine. I'm wondering if, I mean, I haven't looked at the legislation or what the plan is, but I wonder if it's just going to be like fully internal combustion engines they'll stop. I wonder if they'll still sell hybrids.
I think they want to totally
They want to totally get rid of them.
stop.
That's going to suck.
Yeah.
That's going to suck a lot.
It is.
You know, if you want to go on a long journey somewhere, you've then basically got to plan an extra, you know, depending on how long your journey is, an extra 2 hours on top of it just to stop somewhere and recharge. Yeah, and also depends on the range of your car. I was looking at Teslas earlier on, as it happens. Yeah, I can't remember why I was looking at Teslas, but I was like, I'm just curious as to the different models, because as far as I'm concerned, you see a Tesla, you just go, oh, it's a Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the same, just they might be slightly different shapes or slightly bigger or whatever.
Slightly smaller.
Or slightly smaller, yeah. But yeah, they all kind of vary in range, but they're all basically between like 350 and 400 mile ranges. And I'm like,
right. Yeah.
That's fine if you're, you know, you just commute back and forth to work, you know, every day. That's probably okay. But, you know, as soon as you want to plan a long journey anyway, you've then got to think about where you're stopping to recharge.
Yeah.
And can you recharge while you're there? You know? Yeah. Right. Did we discuss Scotland?
And can you recharge when you're at home?
Well, obviously, you wouldn't buy that kind of car unless you had the facility to recharge at home.
People aren't going to have the option.
Well, that's what all new houses now have to have a universal charge plug, or built into the house.
Really?
Yeah.
What if you don't want to own a car?
It just comes with it now. It's just part of the building. Much like a front door.
But that's great. What if you live in a block of flats or in a pre-existing row of terrace houses?
That's the challenge, isn't it? They've got to figure out how to deal with charging electric vehicles. Like you say, that you got terrace housing where you park on the road, blocks of flats where you have. I mean, if you've got like a car park at the bottom of the block of flats, I guess you could, they can put in charge points, but. Like I say, rows of terrace housing and that. I don't know what the plan is, but we're not going to get into the politics of it and and all that stuff. But yeah, I was watching this Car Masters thing, and I was some really nice cars on there. I would very much like to have a 1969 Mustang. They are gorgeous cars. But then again, I quite like that just kind of general shape, which covers a whole host of classic cars like that. The Mustangs, Camaros, Pontiac GTOs, Super Bs, all of those kind of. I just love the shape and love the look of them all. I think they all look great.
I would like a 1960
the original Chevy Bel Air.
I would like a 1969 Dodge Charger.
Yeah, the Chargers are nice.
In orange.
Oh God! Don't say it.
Made up as the car for the Dukes of Hazzard.
He said it.
I said it. I said it, and I stand by it.
I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you want. I like the car.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the colour. I don't like that orange. I've got to be honest with you.
No, I think it's because it's iconic and it's something that is from my childhood. So yeah, that's why. Yeah. That's why I would like that.
What's the car that they had in Starsky and Hutch? Do you know?
I don't know.
Let me have a quick look. So I'm just trying to think to all the famous classic cars now that are in all these films. So you've got the General Lee, which is a Charger. You've got K.I.T.T, which was a
Trans Am.
Yeah.
So anyway, whilst you're looking at that, fun fact about the Dukes of Hazzard and the General Lee, the sound, because with television they throw in the sound afterwards in many cases. The sound of the General Lee in episodes of the Dukes of Hazzard comes from the same sound that was recorded for the film Bullet, where
Okay.
do you remember there was like a Mustang and then it was being chased by a Dodge Charger?
Yeah.
So it's that Dodge Charger sound
Mm-hmm.
that is on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is a fun fact. That is a fun fact.
It is.
Gran Torino is the Starsky and Hutch car.
Oh, okay.
Red with white bits on it. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
Ford Gran Torino.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan of the Mustang. I like the original Mustang. See, I even like kind of the Mustang redesign from like 2006. I think they redesigned it.
Right, yeah.
I really like that design as well. And then Ford went and ruined it by creating the Mustang Mach-E.
What's a Mustang Mach-E?
It's fully electric Mustang.
That sounds awful.
But it doesn't look like a Mustang. It looks like a Tesla.
Mm.
It just looks like a Tesla. Would you like to see a picture?
I would not.
Okay.
And this is what I'm saying. It's sad that we kind of end up with cars that look like I don't know, just.
I get the whole futuristic look, and I guess that's what Tesla's gone for. They've gone for futuristic-looking cars.
Yeah.
And then you look at the other crazy ideas they've got, like the Cybertruck, the semi-truck. They just look awful. That's not how a car should look. And I realise it's just, we've grown up with cars looking a certain way.
Yeah.
Big grills on the front, or all this stuff. And then Tesla just go, nah, you don't need any of that. It's like I was looking at electric cars, a little while ago. I have the option to buy or to lease an electric car through my company. And just kind of looking through the latest electric cars, none of them really look like cars. They all look like they're supposed to be electric cars, and it's that. I think what I figured out was it's how the grille looks on the front. So when in some cases where they attempt to put a grille on the front, they still just kind of smooth it, or they kind of smooth it off. Just to, I realised I put my hands in front of the microphone means you can then kind of hear what I'm saying.
Sorry.
So, exactly. So they smooth it off, and it just looks really weird. But I saw one. It's a Skoda Enyaq, and they've at least tried to make it look like a grille with holes in it, like you would on a normal car. And I think that was the only one that kind of looks like a normal car in my eyes.
Yeah.
And the rest of them just look weird.
Well, otherwise it just looks a bit stupid. It looks a little bit fake, doesn't it?
Yeah. Cars have a personality, or they have a like people do. They have a look about them. When you kind of look at a car, you kind of get an idea of what this car should be like just from how it looks right at the front.
If you were a car, what car would you be?
69 Mustang. Yeah. Great in a straight line, doesn't handle curves very well.
Yeah.
But, big and powerful and not particularly reliable in this day and age. What about you?
I don't know.
So you're going to say General Lee, aren't you?
Well, it would seem like the obvious thing to say. Complete with flag. No, I don't know.
Be careful saying that one. Cause,
I don't know. Probably a Land Rover.
What kind of Land Rover? Defender. Short wheelbase Defender.
A Land Rover. Maybe a short wheelbase Defender that doesn't mind doing it in a field.
Where you can just half pull the handbrake up and just step out of it and watch it come rolling to a stop.
Yes, my party trick.
Yeah. So you've told me about that, but it's so good. So good.
Yeah, you just got to get the speed right, the right terrain, and yes, it's a great way to make an entrance at formations, parades, and parties.
Yeah. Great way to make an entrance, and I think that's a great way to make an exit, right?
That was The Tuesday Show.
Get in touch with us. All the links are in the description. And until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.